Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here and taking the time to listen. I want to begin with a simple truth. Throughout his entire career in business, reality television, and politics, Donald Trump has relied on one tactic more than anything else: bullying people into silence. He did it as a failed casino owner who bankrupted his properties. He did it as a TV host known for firing people. And he has done it as president, using intimidation with no regard for the rights or well-being of the American people. For a long time, this strategy worked for him, until now, because I refuse to let intimidation silence me. The American people refuse to let intimidation silence them. President Trump is now trying to silence me by threatening my life, simply for telling the truth, and he ordered his Secretary of Defense to go after me. But it will not work. Here's how we arrived at this moment. A week and a half ago, Senator Slock and myself and others with military and intelligence backgrounds released a video reminding service members they must always refuse illegal orders. It was a straightforward message grounded in the law. Any normal president would have responded with 2 words: of course. But Donald Trump is not a normal president. Instead, he reacted with the dangerous and unthinkable claim that 2 U.S. senators and 4 members of the House should be arrested, hanged, and executed for our statement. Words that are true and rooted in the Constitution. My family knows firsthand the cost of political violence. My wife, Gabby, nearly died after being shot in the head while meeting with constituents. The president has also been the target of violence. Others across the country have suffered this year. Yet he continues to divide. In a moment when our nation desperately needs healing, Donald Trump uses every opportunity to inflame division because it benefits him politically. His words carry tremendous weight, and people listen. He knows this. That is exactly why he makes these threats, because intimidation is his first instinct. And if words don't silence someone, he uses power to try to intimidate them. With the help of Senate Republicans, he has surrounded himself with people like Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, who obeys his demands without question, regardless of legality or consequence. That's how I learned through a tweet, not a call, not an official notice, but a tweet that the Secretary of Defense was ordering an investigation into me. This is the same secretary who, from the moment of his nomination, has been historically unqualified for the job. Reports also indicate he may have ordered a second strike that killed shipwreck survivors in the Caribbean. If anyone should be answering questions under oath, it is Pete Hegseth. It is a dangerous moment when a president and his loyalists weaponize power to silence senators for speaking truth. But this isn't only about me or the others in that video. They are sending a warning to retired service members, government employees, military personnel, elected officials, and everyday Americans. Speak up and suffer consequences. This has been the president's singular focus: silencing opponents, not lowering costs or creating jobs. He bullies businesses, threatening mergers unless they pay up. He pressures universities to fire presidents or risk losing funding. He targets late-night hosts who joke about him and repeatedly intimidates Republicans in Congress who fear crossing him. That fear comes at a high cost. It undermines free speech and damages the balance of powers that are foundational to our democracy. When Republicans refuse to challenge him, harmful policies go unchecked. His reckless tariffs have raised prices on everyday essentials, yet Republicans too afraid to oppose him refuse to repeal them. Americans pay more for groceries, school supplies, and household goods because their leaders are scared. The same pattern plays out with health care. Members of Congress know what needs to be done to prevent premiums from skyrocketing, but he simply refuses to act. The president has crossed a line. The occupant of the Oval Office has shown ignorance of the Constitution and disregard for the rule of law, threatening to kill me, proposing to court-martial me for speaking truth, and try to silence those who defend democracy is unacceptable. I will not be intimidated or silenced. I have given too much to this country to back down. While Trump drove casinos into bankruptcy in 1991, I was being shot at in Iraq and Kuwait. When he bragged about owning the tallest building after September 11th, I was carrying flags honoring victims into space. When he wrote birthday greetings to Jeffrey Epstein in 2003, I was recovering the bodies of astronauts after the Columbia disaster. While he hosted reality shows and spread conspiracy theories, I sat at my wife's bedside as she fought to survive a gunshot wound. I have faced far worse in service to this country than threats from Donald Trump or Pete Hegseth. They will not stop me from doing my job. Enough of the bullying. Enough of the intimidation. None of it helps families afford groceries or pay medical bills. It only erodes the rights of every American. My responsibility is to protect those rights, defend the Constitution, and serve the people who elected me. Nothing will stop me from doing that. Now I will take questions. Regarding the situation involving the Navy SEALs, we need an investigation. We must bring members of the Department of Defense before the Armed Services Committee. I have immense respect for our Navy and special operators, and I hope the reports are false. But if shipwreck survivors were targeted, that crosses a dangerous line. The Inspector General must investigate. Despite the Secretary's efforts to remove oversight, I learned about my potential court-martial through a tweet. That alone shows how unserious and unqualified the Secretary of Defense is. He cares more about online attention than accountability or the law. The question must be asked, have we ever had a less professional Secretary of Defense? I can't think of one. As for threats on my life, Gabby and I know this world too well. Threats increased dramatically after the president said I should be executed. We take them seriously, but this is why he does it. He thinks he can silence me. He cannot. No president in our nation's history has called for the execution of sitting senators for speaking. His words carry weight, and threats against our offices have skyrocketed. That is exactly why I will not be silent. I have First Amendment rights. I am a senator. I serve on the Armed Services and Intelligence Committees. I will not be intimidated. They absolutely should appear before Congress to answer questions. Whether they will is unclear, given this administration's disregard for norms. But we must get to the bottom of what happened. Questions about FBI involvement must be fully examined. Did agents act independently, or were they instructed by the president? These are questions journalists should demand answers to. We know little so far, and that is concerning. Regarding previous strikes, we were told legal justifications that twisted themselves into knots. The American people deserve to see those arguments. We must bring officials before committees and get full transparency. My biggest concern has always been that an unqualified Secretary of Defense would put service members in impossible situations, and nothing I have seen changes that. He talks endlessly about lethality and warrior ethos, yet our military is already the most capable in history. His job should be ensuring accountability, training, equipment, and lawful missions. Instead, he plays soldier on social media, embarrassing the nation. He holds one of the most important roles in government, the National Command Authority for Nuclear Weapons, yet acts unseriously. Considering past statements in which the president suggested illegal actions, we released a video to prevent potential abuse of power. It was about upholding the law, not provoking confrontation. Could legislation help? Possibly, if Republicans were willing. But many fear crossing the president. They saw what happened to us. He called for our execution because he disliked what we said. That sends a chilling message. Service members need reminders of the law, especially under current conditions. We were surprised the president responded at all. We expected him to reaffirm that illegal orders must be refused. Instead, he escalated dramatically. When Senator Slotkin and I received word in the SCIF that the president had called for our execution, it was shocking and unprecedented. Questions about impeachment or legal action require lawyers to answer. This is still early, and facts must be gathered. But we are a nation of laws, even if the president behaves as though he is above them. Millions of Americans are at risk of losing affordable health care, and we know how to fix it. The president simply refuses to engage. I hope bipartisan solutions are still possible because families' lives depend on it. Some Republicans have publicly supported us, others privately, but fear dominates their decisions. I trust the Armed Services Committee leadership, but not the Secretary of Defense, who has weakened the department by firing legal experts and inspectors based on loyalty rather than competence. We must protect the integrity of the defense bill and ensure thoughtful oversight. We will determine who should testify and whether hearings should be public or classified. The American people deserve transparency. The president must explain his intentions before launching major operations. History shows regime change rarely ends well. The American people deserve clarity before their sons and daughters are put in harm's way. Thank you all for being here today. I know the room is warm, and I appreciate your patience. We will continue pursuing the truth, defending the rule of law, and ensuring accountability for those who wield power irresponsibly. This fight is not about me. It is about protecting our democracy, our service members, and every American who believes in the Constitution. I will not back down, and I will continue doing the job the people elected me to do. Thank you.